The Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from California.
Aaron Rodgers was the most gifted thrower of the football that I'd ever laid eyes on.
Backpedaling. The velocity of the ball, the ability to, run and throw on the move.
Still looking, waits, throws late, diving right.
I mean, he can get the ball into places that no one else can get him into. He's got everything you want in a quarterback. He's got an amazing skill set.
Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback that I've ever seen.
Too late.
You think so?
It's too late. Come on, man. They should have won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. To me, Aaron Rodgers is my favorite quarterback in the NFL. But you wasted this guy's career. You got 1 Super Bowl out of Aaron Rodgers? Are you kidding me? It's too late.
He has 2 MVPs, a third on the way for this 2020 NFL season. He is a 2-time passing ratings leader and a 3-time passing touchdowns leader, a 9-time Pro Bowler, and a list of NFL accolades that goes on and on. This quarterback is a Hall of Fame lock, but why does Aaron Rodgers only have 1 Super Bowl ring on his finger? Let's take a look at why only 1 Lombardi trophy in the Green Bay Hall of Fame has been won during this dominant quarterback's career. Before we get to the content, we're giving away a PlayStation 5 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you sub and hit that notification bell, you've entered for a chance to win a PS5. If you want additional entries, make sure you follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. And now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. Aaron Rodgers was standing in Brett Favre's shadow as when he became the Green Bay Packers starting quarterback in 2008. But he has emerged and has taken the Green Bay Packers to the playoffs multiple times. However, he only has 1 Super Bowl win on his belt that is notched with all kinds of other impressive NFL honors. It only took 2 seasons for Rodgers to solidify himself, and by 2010, Aaron Rodgers had led the Green Bay Packers to a Super Bowl win. The dominant offense of the Packers that season was 10th in total points and 5th in the league in passing yards. They say defense wins championships, and that 2010 defense finished 2nd in the NFL with the fewest points allowed. 2nd best in team history. It was a defense that had 47 sacks and 24 interceptions, while opposing quarterbacks who faced the Packers that season only had a 67.2 passer rating, which was good enough for best in the league. Clay Matthews led this defense that also had Charles Woodson covering deep routes and setting the record for the most touchdowns on interceptions. Aaron Rodgers was well protected too, as he hit his favorite targets in Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson because he had plenty of time thanks to the Packers drafting offensive linemen like Brian Bulaga and Josh Sitton. On the world's biggest stage, Aaron Rodgers completed 24 of 39 pass attempts for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Packers' 31-25 win over the Steelers. He earned Super Bowl MVP and held a passer rating of 109.8. Winning a Super Bowl is easy, right? Young Aaron Rodgers looked to be the bright future of the Green Bay Packers, and everyone just assumed many Lombardi trophies would be earned by Rodgers-led teams over the next several years. Many playoff appearances, yes, but Super Bowl trophies, no. 10 seasons after that 2010 win, Aaron Rodgers is inching very close to retirement age and doesn't have another Lombardi trophy. But how could that be? What has happened over this past decade, and how close has Aaron Rodgers come? Well, coming off the Super Bowl win and heading into the 2011 NFL season, the NFL lockout put a damper on how the typical offseason was run. Lack of practice time was no big deal, as in the first game of the 2011 NFL season, Rodgers already added another honor, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, for his 312 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in a win against the New Orleans Saints. Aaron Rodgers earned his first NFL MVP award with 4,643 passing yards, 45 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. The Packers had a 15-1 record that season, which was so close to perfect, but so far away from the Super Bowl, as they would fall in the divisional round to the New York Giants and Eli Manning, a quarterback who is way less superb than Rodgers in many categories, except for having 1 more Super Bowl ring. The Packers seemed to be on a cruise control that quickly lost speed the last few weeks of that 2011 season. They won in New York against the Giants by only a field goal in Week 11. Then, just 2 weeks before a rematch against the Giants, who snuck into the playoffs and would eventually become Super Bowl champions, the Packers' lone loss was handed to them by a Chiefs team that finished 7-9 that season. Then, those players who had really made the Super Bowl win of 2010 happen were shut down. Elite wide receiver Jordy Nelson only had 3 catches on 39 yards in the Packers' playoff loss in 2011. Charles Woodson was beat downfield a lot. It was an upset for the ages where the Giants, who were the much lower seed, went into Lambeau Field and burst the Packers' chances of back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Eli Manning threw for 330 yards and a touchdown, including a Hail Mary right before the half. Jordy Nelson said of the loss to PackersNews.com, "Big plays on both sides of the ball. We didn't make enough of them. It's as simple as that. It was turnovers, big pass plays, and missed opportunities. That's what it came down to." The Packers' offense was uncharacteristically off for another unpublicized reason. They were preparing for the playoffs through grief, as just a week earlier, offensive coordinator Joe Philbin's son, Michael, accidentally drowned in the Fox River. The funeral service was held Friday, just 2 days before the playoff game. In 2012, Joe Philbin was named the Dolphins head coach. So Aaron Rodgers' QB coach and Tom Clements was promoted to offensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy was in his 7th year as head coach with a roster full of stars like receivers Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings, veteran Donald Driver, and Jermichael Finley at tight end. They also had the defensive long-haired wildmen of A.J. Hawk and Clay Matthews. The Packers were again favorites to win the NFC North, and to double down on their philosophy to build a good defense for Aaron Rodgers, they added promising linebacker Nick Perry from USC in the NFL draft, who was expected to rack up the pass rushes and tackles. However, he dealt with injuries often and eventually ended up on the IR list. The Packers lost to the 49ers in the first game of the season. Aaron Rodgers had to wear an Alex Smith jersey after he lost a bet and the Packers lost at the end of that season. The Packers would also lose at the end of the season, and although the Packers won the NFC North, they finished 11-5. That would be good enough for the number 3 seed, but they would lose when it counted in the divisional round to a shiny, speedy quarterback named Colin Kaepernick. Aaron Rodgers would make the Pro Bowl once again. He would also lead the league once again with a 108 passer rating and was second in the league with 39 touchdown passes. Rodgers spread the receptions around in the wild card game, connecting with 10 different players. Then, against the 49ers, he seemed a little off and didn't put up his typical outstanding numbers. He passed for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. However, it was the Packers defense who had no answer for the 49ers. They could not stop Colin Kaepernick and this versatile San Francisco 49ers offense. Kaepernick threw for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns to Michael Crabtree, and also ran for a NFL record 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kaepernick, ironically, was from Milwaukee and was a fan of the Packers until the day he was drafted by the 49ers in 2011. Charles Woodson said in post-game comments of Cap, "I didn't know how fast he was. Coming in, I really never paid attention to it. But boy, he is fast." In 2013, Aaron Rodgers signed a 5-year, $110 million contract extension, and Donald Driver would retire. Free agent Greg Jennings would sign with the Minnesota Vikings, and they would draft Pro Bowl running back Eddie Lacy. The Packers had hard luck throughout the season. First, they lost 2 wide receivers when Randall Cobb broke his leg and James Jones was out with a knee injury. Then, tight end Jermichael Finley was carted off with a back injury, and Rodgers was left standing in the pocket with virtually no one to throw to. Lacy picked up the slack, having a breakout rookie season as a rusher. Then in Week 9, Rodgers went down as well, breaking his collarbone and missing 8 games. Rodgers valiantly returned for the final game of the 2013 NFL season in a game against the Chicago Bears, which would be for the NFC North Championship. Rodgers proved that he was a special quarterback, escaping Julius Peppers and finding Randall Cobb, who had also returned from injury himself, for a game-winning touchdown, a 48-yard bomb that won the game for the Green Bay Packers. They would host the 49ers once again in the wild card round and invited San Francisco to Lambeau in 5-degree weather. together. Colin Kaepernick went sleeveless and proved to be dominant as ever. The 49ers, who had beaten the Green Bay Packers 3 times in a row prior, shut the entire Green Bay Packers offense down, and more importantly, shut Aaron Rodgers down, who only had 1 touchdown pass. They won on a game-winning field goal, but 177 passing yards from Rodgers was simply not enough. The Packers would again end their season well short of the Super Bowl. The Packers would have a great 2014 NFL draft, however, taking HaHa Clinton Dix in the first round to spruce up their defense and Devontae Adams in the second round to add youth to the receiving corps. They also added Julius Peppers from the rival Bears, who was the guy that Rodgers barely escaped the season prior. The Packers went undefeated at home again and won the NFC North, but their playoff woes continued when the Packers gave up a 16-point lead at halftime, and everyone around Aaron Rodgers would crumble in the NFC Championship game against the Seattle Seahawks. A Green Bay blunder on an onside kick led to the Seattle Seahawks leading 22-19 with 44 seconds remaining in the game. Rodgers took his offense down the field to set up a field goal that sailed through the uprights and forced overtime. Rodgers remained on the sidelines, looking helpless as the Seahawks won the coin toss and Russell Wilson marched his team down the field, then dropped back and tossed a 35-yard touchdown to propel the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl in the 28-22 win. Even 4 years later in 2018, Aaron Rodgers was still not over that loss, telling 24/7 Sports that game will always be frustrating. You think about how it went down. The non-offsides call and the pick by Richard Sherman and everything else that happened along the way. Getting 6 points in 2 possessions inside the 5, and obviously how well our defense played, and us not being able to finish that game off there in the fourth quarter. We give them a chance to come back with the onside kick. The sting is probably never going to go away from that one. Rodgers had earned yet another NFL MVP award and had won 5 Offensive Player of the Week awards throughout that season, but again did not earn a Super Bowl ring. It was now 5 seasons since the Packers have won the Super Bowl, and it would prove to be a little bit of a down year at 10-6. No one notable was drafted, but it was still a Pro Bowl season for many in green and gold, including Rodgers. Green Bay again would make the playoffs and beat Washington with ease in the wild card game. Although Rodgers threw an amazing 41-yard time-expiring Hail Mary to send the divisional playoff game against the Cardinals into overtime, it ended in defeat once again. The Packers would lose to the Cardinals 26-20 thanks to Carson Palmer escaping Clay Matthews, connecting with Larry Fitzgerald, who outran all of the Packers defenders for 75 yards, then split the defense and scurried into the end zone on the next play. Al Michaels called it a game for the ages, but it was another crushing loss for Rodgers and the Packers. Clinton Dix and Peppers led the defense, but Clay Matthews had a down year with only 6.5 sacks that was further magnified by allowing Carson Palmer to get away from him during a crucial play. In 2016, the Packers made a good choice when they selected future Pro Bowler Kenny Clark at nose tackle. No one notable was lost in free agency or in retirement, but Rodgers started off sluggish. However, by week 7, he had finally gotten his groove back thanks to protection from offensive tackle David Bakhtiari, who made his second All-Pro team. Rodgers again threw for 40 touchdowns and 4,428 yards, and Clinton Dix was the defensive leader, but Clay Matthews had the lowest numbers of his career. Another NFC North title was earned, and the Packers rolled into the playoffs, finally getting revenge on the Giants. Then, they defeated the Dallas Cowboys in the divisional round in another nail-biter in which Aaron Rodgers put Mason Crosby close enough to convert a 51-yard field goal for the win. The NFC Championship would be against the Atlanta Falcons, and the Green Bay Packers defense allowed Atlanta 325 offensive yards and a 24-0 lead at halftime. Rodgers did his best to bring the Packers back, completing 27 of 45 passes for 287 yards and 3 touchdowns. But this was before the Atlanta Falcons had a knack for blowing leads. Matt Ryan threw for 392 yards and 4 touchdowns, and added a touchdown via his not known to be fleet feet. The saga continued of Aaron Rodgers not being able to advance the Green Bay Packers to the Super Bowl, but perhaps everyone should have been pointing the blame on the defense. The 2017 season for the Packers was ugly. 7-9, which was their first losing season since 2008. Aaron Rodgers missed 9 games with a broken collarbone that this time required surgery. The 2018 season was another payday and 4-year extension for Rodgers. In a stunning move, the Green Bay Packers elected not to re-sign Jordy Nelson, and he would move on to sign with the Raiders. The Green Bay Packers draft picks would also be subpar, and Rodgers was hampered with a knee injury, which was a tibial plateau fracture and a sprained MCL. He finished that season completing only 62% of his passes, his second lowest since 2008. Also, the defense struggled again. The Packers posted their first consecutive losing season in years and would miss the playoffs, with Mike McCarthy being fired in early December. Since the Packers missed the playoffs for 2 years in a row, the Cheeseheads were threatening to burn down Lambeau Field if they didn't start winning quickly. Matt LaFleur was named head coach, but rumors started that Rodgers and him didn't mesh. Many notable coaching moves were made prior to the 2019 season. Defensive coordinator Dom Capers was replaced by Mike Pettin, and Joe Philbin returned as offensive coordinator. The Packers were quickly back to their winning ways. They would finish 13-3 and at the top of the NFC North once again. They lost Randall Cobb and Clay Matthews to free agency, but running back Aaron Jones, who they had drafted in 2017, flourished in Matt LaFleur's system that focused on heavy formations and play-action throws, and it benefited the running game greatly. Rodgers still produced even though more gray hairs were showing up on his head. In Week 7, he had a perfect passer rating in a win against the Raiders. He outdueled the eventual Super Bowl champion Chiefs, who were playing with quarterback Matt Moore and not Patrick Mahomes, with a 305-yard, 3-touchdown performance. In the divisional playoff round against the Seahawks, this time, the Packers out-edged Russell Wilson in the 28-23 win to propel them to another NFC Championship game. However, even though Rodgers went 31 of 39 with 326 yards and 2 touchdowns, it was his picks that did his team in the NFC Championship game against the defensive juggernaut that was the San Francisco 49ers. 2 interceptions, one to Richard Sherman with less than 2 minutes remaining, along with the fact that the Green Bay Packers defense gave up 37 points, were the roadblocks in Green Bay's path to the Super Bowl. It seemed to be that NFC Championship games were Rodgers' vice, as in the last 4 he had 7 interceptions versus 6 touchdowns and an ugly 78 passer rating. Aaron Rodgers is 37 years old and will earn the NFL MVP award again for his 2020 performance. 4,299 passing yards, 48 passing touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Leading the league in passing percentage, touchdown passes, and passer rating, he marched his team to the NFC Championship again. What's missing? Yes, the Packers, once again, would not advance to the Super Bowl. They lost Brian Bulaga to free agency, Jimmy Graham was released, yet Rodgers put up remarkable numbers without the big tackle and tall tight end. Davante Adams made Rodgers look amazing, catching everything he threw. Just in his second season, Elgton Jenkins didn't allow 1 sack. So what happened? Tom Brady happened. Tom Brady sashayed into Green Bay and let the wind out of the sails once again with his uncanny ability to win big games. Aaron Rodgers only threw 1 interception, and Tom Brady would throw 3. That doesn't make sense. Well, the Buccaneers shut down Aaron Jones and he caused him the fumble. Rodgers couldn't win the game alone, especially being hurried and with no rushing help. Also, the Packers defense did not prevent Tom Brady from scoring 3 touchdowns, although they were able to pick him off 3 times. However, the play calling and the offensive execution has a lot of the blame, especially late in the game. Green Bay had the ball for longer, moved the ball further, but 2 red zone strips had 6 passes that were not complete, 6 straight failed passing plays after the defense stepped up and made 2 interceptions. It was 2 scoring plays, but resulted in 2 field goals that should have been touchdowns. Perhaps LaFleur's call on a 4th and goal from the 8-yard line with over 2 minutes and the Packers having all 3 timeouts while down by 8 points wasn't the best decision. It takes all elements, offense, defense, and special teams to win Super Bowls. Offenses under Rodgers in the playoffs have been the most productive of any, leading even Drew Brees and Tom Brady in the last 10 years. However, the average offensive expected points added for the Packers defense and special teams units is at the bottom, almost 7 points per game worse than Tom Brady's teams. Tampa Bay ranked 7th in combined EPA on defense and special teams this season. The Packers ranked 21st. It's clearly not all Rodgers' fault that the Packers are failing in the postseason. Those calling him overrated need to take a look at the stat sheet a little closer. Aaron Rodgers not making the Super Bowl for the umpteenth time is clearly wearing on him. He's beginning to look like one of those crazy guys from the deep woods that says he has seen a Sasquatch but can never provide the hard evidence. But in this case, Aaron Rodgers can't find another Lombardi. Recently, he was on the Pat McAfee show and seemed rather down in the dumps about clarifying his future with the Packers after the speculation on right after the NFC Championship loss, where he said, "A lot of guys' futures are uncertain, myself included. For the Packers to have a chance next season, they need to keep Rodgers happy, let bad defenders like Kevin King go, re-sign offensive support like Aaron Jones, and find another productive receiver. They also need to sign a big-name defensive leader who could do some damage on opposing quarterbacks, mentor young players in the locker room, and cheer the fans up all at the same time. A player that ideally is from Wisconsin." Oh, hello JJ Watt. If you guys enjoy this content, please let me know in the comment section down below any other player that you'd like us to do this type of content on. Make sure you drop a like to help support the growth of the channel. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.